Good, Charlie. We're going to do the roll call business, and we'll try to keep it as short as we can, keeping in mind that this is the same thing that we have done exactly for the last 3 meetings. And first thing we're going to do is have everybody identify themselves as being audible so that each of the others can hear. And I'll start by asking a roll call of members. Cox, say where you are, please. Eric, are you there? Hello.
Oh, no. Okay. I think my speaker was off. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. Where are you, Eric?
In Centerville, Virginia.
All right, good. You are aboard, and Franklin is comfortably at home with a pile of paper. And next we want to hear Giff. Can you hear us, Giff Hampshire?
I can. We're still getting a lot of feedback, but I'm here in my office in Fairfax.
Okay, good. And Charlie Nichols?
I'm here in my office in Great Falls.
All right. And Hugh Newcomb, the star player.
I'm at home in Vienna, Virginia.
Good. And
You know, I'm wondering if Hugh doesn't have her computer and her phone on at the same time. Maybe that's the feedback we're getting.
Well, I've turned off my computer and I've gone into a different room away from the computer.
Okay. Well, that's much better now.
And Andrew, you're there?
I am here in my office in Arlington.
All right, very good. We have a quorum of 6 people, and the quorum is satisfied. And let's hear a motion to confirm that.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
next, we're going to pass motions to confirm the need for this electronic meeting and the need to dispense with FOIA's procedures to continue continuity of government in action. And Kelly, you will write this up in the minutes in the usual fashion. Do I hear a motion to confirm both of those items?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passed unanimously. You have before you the minutes which Kelly has sent to us, and we have the September 20th meeting minutes and the October 14th 21 meeting minutes. You have them amongst the piles of papers or emails. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes as stated?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Kelly, do we have any information items?
Yes, I just wanted to let you know that the NIPLING renewal application was not submitted this year, so it will expire at the end of this year. Dan with DTA also told me earlier this week that they did sell off 2 parcels from their district.
Huh.
So it sounds like they're have no plans to continue their A&F district. And then also looking ahead for 2022, there are 5 applications that are up for renewal.
Mhm.
And we have sent out certified letters to each of them, making them aware of their upcoming renewal and providing them information on how to submit.
Very good. And you'll make a note of that in the minutes, please.
Kelly, I spoke to Mr. Nippling and he confirmed he is not renewing. And I got a phone call today that Jenkins will not be renewing.
All right, thank you. Let's turn to the important business of the day, and that's the renewal of the Potomac Vegetable Farm A&F districts. And I can speak to that for at least 30 years of eating tomatoes there, and have visited the property 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, even drove on the farm road and was not arrested, but I was able to see the operation. And we all have the staff report on this application. Staff recommends approval of the application. And so, Kelly, do you want to make any comments, and anybody else want to observe?
I don't have any comments. You all have the staff report. I'm happy to answer any questions. It is a renewal application. So staff is obviously going to recommend approval of the renewal. We have a signed soil and water conservation plan. Virginia Department of Forestry has provided recommendations. Those will all be part of our ordinance provisions. And happy to answer any questions. I can go through the presentation, but it didn't sound like you wanted me to do that.
I don't know that we need an additional presentation in addition to all the documents we have. I have well over 200 pages of materials here, and that's quite enough. Hugh, I noticed that there was a recommendation involving an alternate parking arrangement by one of the reporting staff, and it looked to me like intended to improve the looks of the parking situation. But when you drive down Route 7, your property is probably the nicest and most orderly of anything on either side of the road on Route 7. But have you had any comments or objections to what I read was a critical activity that was recommended within 1 year? That's addressed to you, Hugh.
Yes. Well, actually, if you've been down Route 7 recently, it is a total disaster. And you can hardly get into the farm. And there will be eventually a sound wall put up in front of the farm. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it. And we have no parking lot because that was an area that was right next to the VDOT, and they filled it up with earth moving equipment and trucks, and we're limping along. But you know, this project should be over in, I think 2025 or something. I don't know.
If they're lucky.
So I think that is a moot recommendation that we do something about our parking lot.
And just to confirm, the recommendation came from, it's ordinance provision number 7. It came from our urban forestry division, and it was speaking to a 10-foot wide landscaping strip between the parking area west of Newcomb's Farm Road entrance.
Yeah, there's no 10-foot strip available. I mean, it's crazy. We have no idea what will be left after they're done with the road.
So then you're not expecting to do any action then this year, I take it?
No, I mean, there's no possibility that we'll be able to do anything that's useful.
Okay.
Because it's all clogged up with vehicles.
Let me ask, did VDOT actually make a taking of any of your property?
They bought some easements, a small amount, just to park Yeah, a small amount to park their vehicles.
Okay. No, business interruption compensation?
No, we just work all around it.
Okay. Charlie,
Our CSA customers are still able to get in.
yeah. Well, I drove all of the roads surrounding your property and looked at the parcels which are part of this application, and some beautiful homes. All of them, or most of them, have a view of your property. Have you had any complaints or objections to the activity that you have going on?
None, but we have a lot of appreciation for what we're doing.
That's good. And what are the range of prices of the houses that are surrounding your property?
I think the ones that are in the south of us, not including the co-housing community, but the one beyond it, is there $2 million, $3 million?
You say two as in TWO?
That's right.
Wow. They must eat a lot of tomatoes.
That's Maymont. That's Maymont. And they lay between that non-contiguous parcel and our main farm. And we drive through that place and we have not had any complaints. We have an official easement that allows us to drive right to our non-contiguous parcel.
All right. Kelly, do you have any recommendation for us?
Yes, staff recommends approval of the application. What I'm, because of some of the concern about the condition regarding the parking lot landscaping, I can offer to the committee that I can talk to our urban forestry division to see if I can get some more clarification on that condition and see if it can possibly be revised or removed before the planning commission hearing. If there is some concern about implementing that recommendation, I don't want to keep it in if that is a concern. But I don't think that should hold up. I wouldn't recommend that holds up your action on this application today.
Okay.
Actually, I would be glad to talk to McClone and find out really what he has in mind.
So it actually came not from Jim, it came from our county urban forestry department. They had reviewed the application. So I can put the two of you into, and I can make a connection there and we can work to refine that condition or either remove it.
Sure.
But that would,
that
wouldn't impact our recommendation or anything. That's not going to change how we would view the application.
Okay.
Anybody else have any comments?
Yeah, I've got one. I mean, I just think, this is Eric Cox, that Potomac Vegetable Farms and what Hugh and her family have done there, I think it's a gem of the community and of the county at large. And I'm just amazed at what they do there. And I'm sure their neighbors are and all their customers are. And it's a gift, I think. But that's all I've got to say.
Thank you, Eric.
Well, with that endorsement, do I hear a motion?
Jeff Parnes made a motion. Jeff?
Myself, I'd like to make the third time and see if I can stay on board this time. I would like to make a motion for its approval.
Second.
Hear a second.
I second it.
Hear a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Do I need to identify where I'm located? I don't think I was asked.
I can see where you are. You're next to those beautiful trees. You're at home.
That's true. That is exactly right. Thank you.
We can hear you.
Thank you again.
All right. Folks, we've heard motion and second, and I think all in favor say aye.
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 Any objections? No objections. Matter is approved. Now, we have a couple of other items that need to be endorsed. You have the A&F annual report from 2018 to 2020 to be endorsed. It is there amongst your pile of paper, and I'm sure you've read it carefully. Does anybody have any comments or objections? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to endorse?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And now we, hearing no objections, that matter is approved and endorsed. We now have the bylaws for ABDAC, which we've had for some time, and I was a bit concerned about a provision that required us to date the bylaws relatively soon, even though there is a provision in the bylaws that requires us to go through a fairly complicated process to elect officers. And I suggested, rather than date the bylaws tomorrow, that we could wait until after we got the election process worked out. I've been told by Kelly and supported by GIF Hampshire that they don't think that is necessary. And so whenever there's an opportunity to make things work, I'll keep my mouth shut. Does anyone have any other comments on the bylaws? Hearing none.
Did I not? All right, yeah. Sorry, could you update us and repeat for all to hear, who are our officers currently?
This is the only one that I'm aware of.
All right, so you are
And
our,
he's got a short term, let me tell you.
okay, so you are our chair? You have been acting that preceding in that period of time?
For about 35 years, yes.
I understand, as long as I've been on board, that is what I'd like to say. So who amongst us would like to be nominated for vice chair or deputy chair? Deputy dog, as it used to be called.
Deputy dog.
I solicit people, don't all turn your, lock your video.
I'm happy to serve in that capacity if nobody wants to step up. I'm
I
happy to.
so nominate that person,
Whoever it is.
whoever that person is.
Well, that's a good nomination. Now, I don't know whether this is confusing the process, Jeff, or not, but
It's railroading the process. I move by acclamation.
by acclamation, for heaven's sakes. All right. Well, I'm not going to get out my Robert's Rules of Order because in 50 years I've never had to use it. But Jeff, you might make it tattered here after a while.
I'm trying my hardest.
Okay. Is that the motion for an acclamation?
Do I have a second?
Oh, you need a second.
Isn't any motion acceptable by a second?
Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion. And
Moved in second. Any discussion?
my discussion is, my impression was that we would do these elections in toto at some later time, according to the bylaws that we're going to adopt now. So,
But if we have the election beforehand, then it's a fiat accompli.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the only Latin I know, other than me culpa, me multiple culpa, whatever that is.
if you look at Article 4, we have all sorts of requirements there in Article 4.
You have to
The
put forth a slate of candidates and have an election. So
That'll be the next year when we.
yes, I think if there are people who are interested in serving as, the vice chair, the secretary, Stanley, we can have a discussion about you continuing on as chair. we can put together a slate for you guys to vote on. That's probably the best way to do it, but we can't do it until we adopt the bylaws.
Chicken and the egg.
It seems to me that if we've been operating for 35 years without bylaws, we've had a chair for 35 years without bylaws, then we can have a vice chair for 6 weeks or a day without bylaws. And then the next time we need to elect those said positions, we will follow the laws. But we don't have the bylaws. They're not in effect. We have a chair. We can have a vice chair if we chose to do so. Now, this may not be per Robert's rules, but we haven't endorsed Robert rules in our bylaws, which have not been adopted. So my thought being is we take an action now. It exists. And any bylaws that we take in effect go into effect after they're endorsed. Whatever we have now is what happens. Of course, I'm not a legal expert. I'm just a small schlump living out here in the wilderness outside. Everybody else is inside, so you can tell my condition's even worse than everybody else's. But that's my thought. Thank you.
Is there a reason to have a vice chair for the next 6 weeks?
Only because the bylaws say so.
Yeah.
No. Because whenever our chair is not there, he has to appoint a vice chair. Sometimes I have acted in his stead. Other times others have. If we have a official vice chair, then it's not a question of who he appoints. That person steps in as required.
Well,
Or if he has to leave for whatever reason, we have an heir designate. That's all I say. And I say this as the previous TAC chair who was not reappointed with a day's notice of his non-reappointment, that we had a vice chair who stepped up to the position when that happened.
But to your point, Jeff, or not to your point, actually, but that not everybody's here to vote. So some people might feel somewhat excluded in the process. Maybe they should have been here, but they're not.
And next month, maybe they won't be there either.
I think we ought to just wait, and I think we ought to table this and do the whole slate according to the bylaws. To me, it doesn't make any sense to adopt the bylaws and then violate them right away.
You're not highlighting them if they haven't been in existence. So I mean, just a thought. But never mind.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Do I hear a motion that we date the bylaws as of tomorrow?
Have they been adopted?
Say again?
They have not yet been adopted. They cannot be dated.
I think we should make a motion to accept the bylaws.
Wait. There's a motion on the floor. It either has to be voted down or withdrawn. It's been seconded. It is not withdrawable. Vote down the motion I made that's been seconded.
I take it then you're not going to withdraw it, Jeff.
It's been seconded. I cannot withdraw it.
Okay. All right, let's vote. Mr. Chairman, I say we call the question.
Now we have to vote on calling the question. Just let's vote on the motion.
I'm not hearing all of what you're saying, Jeff. So, and I was rather hoping to have dinner sometime tonight.
Well, wait a second. If we haven't adopted Robert's Rules of Order, then why can't we withdraw it?
Yeah, the point that I'm making is just ask for the vote on the motion.
All right.
A vote on the motion. We have a vote on the motion. I'm not exactly sure what it is, Jeff, but we'll find out.
The office is so designated and named by acclamation. You know who's chair and you know who's been volunteered as vice chair or deputy dog. I made a motion that we adopt it by acclamation. It was seconded. So that is the motion on the floor. It can be turned down. It could be, but the question's been called, so we no longer can withdraw it or move to table it, right?
Motion has been made in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No.
Nay.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Let us turn, please, to the policy for participation in meetings by electronic communication. That's another one of those miserable documents that we have in our package.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me for interrupting, but do we haven't adopted the bylaws yet, I don't believe.
We
Do we
just
need to
voted
vote?
down Andrew as chair, vice chair.
Yeah.
So we
Nothing
need a
but-
motion to adopt the bylaws.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the bylaws?
With an effective date of tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Oh, and Jeff, you're in favor.
Not against bylaws. I just believe there's a time and place for them. And if the place is tomorrow, and I was operating without them today.
I see. Was that your wife telling you to come in?
No, it wasn't my wife telling me. She was telling me that my son is waiting for me to order dinner. But okay.
Same difference.
All right. The policy for participation.
Different than the bylaws. Why do our bylaws not have that policy in place? And why are these two separate documents?
Say it again.
Why are these two separate things and not, why is the policy for non-participation not in the bylaws as an attachment thereof?
I think there is a reference to it. And Giff, you're the expert on that.
Let's see. Meetings. Yeah, if you look at, Jeff, if you look at Article 5, it says meeting or meetings means meetings, including work session when sitting physically or through electronic communication made pursuant to the code section. And
So
this is policy that implements that bylaw provision.
So this is not a county policy, but our policy.
No, this is a county.
The county policy.
Then we don't implement our county policy. Doesn't that pre-exist? Whatever we do, the county policy, could we actually reject the county policy? Don't we have to abide by it? I don't understand what we're trying to do with it. If it's a county policy, we must comply with it.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be before us if we didn't have to adopt it. It's titled the Fairfax County Agricultural and Forestal District Advisory Committee Policy for participation in meetings by electronic communication. It may be a policy that the county as a whole encourages, but they've asked us to adopt it, as I understand it.
Okay, so
Including the
that's
county attorney.
It is not a county policy that we're adopting. We're adopting our own policy.
That's my understanding. Kelly, is that correct?
It is your policy based on a template provided to all county boards and authorities and commissions.
Right. We could reject it, but they might fire us all.
But it also provides you with flexibility because right now we're still in an emergency situation where we can continue to meet electronically in this means. But at some point when that emergency goes away, we have a local state of emergency. When that goes away, you will be required to meet again in person. But what this does, it allows, provided there is a quorum in person, if you meet one of the criteria, you could still participate remotely. So it's really to your benefit.
I'm not disagreeing that it's to our benefit. I was wondering why it was not part of the bylaws and a separate freestanding document. And that was my question earlier.
Yeah. Because most of the boards, authorities, and commissions already had bylaws. So rather than going through and amending everyone's bylaws, they created this separate policy. It just happens to be that you, as a committee, never had bylaws. And so they've just come together at the same time.
Thank you. I hate to belabor these points. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, we're just trying to get you guys caught up with everyone else.
Only 35 years too late. Thank you. Anyway, bye.
All right, now I've lost track of where we are.
I move the adoption of those policy if they have not yet been moved or seconded.
Second,
I second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, that has been adopted. I think that concludes our agenda I hope. Kelly, unless you have some other information for us.
I don't have anything myself. In full disclosure, Jeff did email me today asking if there was an update on One Fairfax. I believe he had brought that up at a previous meeting, so I don't know if that's a discussion you would like me to have at this time, or if you would just like me to talk to Jeff offline about it. It's up to you guys.
I believe that it was a policy that we all had to adopt ourselves, right? Even prior to the adoption of my bylaws, we had to sign into that. So I think it's something that we all should listen to, rather than myself. Thank you. And if it's not pertinent to at this time to be included in the agenda, it ought to be an agenda item, just like the other things that we did on One Fairfax were agenda items. Thank you.
And I will say, in response to the concern, or not the concerns, the comments you raised earlier this summer, I did meet with Carla Bruce, our Chief Equity Officer, to discuss, some of the comments that were raised and how AFDAC could consider One Fairfax going forward. So there are some additional materials I could provide to you that talks about different focus areas.
To you guys.
Sorry.
To us.
To you, to the AFDAC committee, and the committee could review those and see if there is additional discussions. Maybe there's certain areas where the AFDAC committee might be able to consider questions, from an equity lens in certain areas as it pertains to the charge of the committee. So that I can share that with you. We can put it on as a future discussion topic. And go from there if you want to start that way.
I would suggest we do it that way.
Absolutely, I can provide that to you.
Great way to start the new year.
They're valid questions, and I did want you to know that we did hear those concerns or those comments, and I keep calling them concerns. They're not concerns. They're very valid comments, and we did respond to that. I know the last two meetings have been kind of rushed, so we didn't get a chance to circle back to it. So Jeff, thanks for mentioning it.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you all so much for coming.
All right.
Bye then.
Bye.
And congratulations, Hugh Newcomb.
Thank you very much, Eric.
Sure are good tomatoes.
Mr. Franklin,
Yes.
I did want you to know Ken Strafer did try to call me during the meeting, so I'll give him a call back probably tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Or I might just try right now.
I want to make sure he's okay. All right.
Yep, I will. I'll have a conversation with him, but I didn't want to leave the meeting since I'm the only one here.
Thank you all.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.